Now, given the title of this piece, I think you can have a guess about what piece of mimetic phrasing that has existed for a long time in our culture we're going to be talking about. This piece of mimetic phrasing actually goes back as far as Paul's writings to 1 Thessalonians. That is a pretty damning thing for a culture and the beginning of a religion. However, at time of recording, just a week prior, there was defacing of a Holocaust memorial. And with that and a rise of anti-Semitism in our culture coming from varied directions, I felt like maybe we should look at what may be a big part of how our culture has been built and something that maybe we should tackle. Stating and simplifying the entire Easter story and the brutality of the crucifixion, as well as the political complexity, to something as sharp and abrupt is to remove context to a conversation we should have been having for a while. And sadly, it's something that may not have been highlighted in enough church circles or schools. So let's get to the main meat of this issue. In the events of the New Testament, and especially the Gospels, Jesus is talking to people about a message that is growing in their awareness of what's going on around them. It's helping them to avoid being preyed upon by leaders of all avenues, which at the time were mainly religious, financial, and political. Throughout the Gospels, Jesus would travel slowly towards the area he would die, where his words were open to interpretation, except when he was being challenged directly, in which he said to follow the laws for now, but not to let it corrupt you. For example, see render unto Caesar or Kaiser. And that you should always strive to help others no matter the background. See, love others as though they were yourself. These words ran completely antithetical to the words of the Pharisees and the Sadducees, who wanted to continue their monopoly on religion and faith that they had for so many years. Something they kept up by making a separation between the Jewish people and the Gentiles, and then within that, the righteous and the sinful. The group of the righteous would become then smaller and smaller, where the authoritarian religious authorities would make everyone almost try to prove themselves to be better than their neighbour, to make it a hierarchy where people were more focused on those beneath them than those above. Now, does that sound familiar in a society, perhaps one that we currently live in? In the end, these powerful people didn't seem to like the personal care and social responsibility message and put it to a justice system of the land aiming to have him killed. Now, let's have a little look what happens here. A justice system that doesn't have a deliberate issue with a man making a point and a positive message hands over the option of the death penalty to religious fundamentalists who can't seem to understand that reading theory and hoarding wealth aren't the best thing to do, which leads to the death of somebody questioning an authority that is being used to brutalize people and keep them below a threshold that has been arbitrarily placed. That's why I'm talking about this today. The message of Jesus and the message of the entire crucifixion arc, if you will, is that authority needs to be questioned. If its subjugation depends on entirely arbitrary constructs, if the person has a massive amount of hypocrisy in their message, maybe that's where we need to start challenging it. We're not killing God's influence in the world by talking to people about their identity that gets them attacked, be it Black Lives Matter or the LGBT community, Jewish people, nor are we killing his influence by not saying Merry Christmas enough. We are killing it when people use religion or lack thereof as an excuse to oppress people. If you have faith, if you question it, if you worry where you stand in all of this, take it from me, a bi Christian with a complicated relationship with gender and a real tendency to ask questions. It's okay. We're meant to. Jesus was there to answer all questions. He left some good answers, even just on a human philosophy basis, if you don't believe. Jacob, the founder of Israel, literally had a fist fight with God because he was emotionally fraught and he had to challenge that, and God still gave him a country. The Jewish people have been subjugated so frequently, and so have so many marginalised groups, usually with an idea that they manufactured their own oppression through deliberate efforts to play the victim, or through incidental means of which they just didn't work with others enough to be completely intertwined sociologically. The thing is you need to look at the people who are doing that, because usually we are seeing that they claim that Jesus is on their side. But Jesus went to these people and fought back on the people in their ivory towers, throwing down whatever dogmatic feces they could. And maybe it's time, if you say you follow that man, that you take that stance too. Now, I hope you enjoyed that. It's not as cited as a lot of this. It's mainly faith-based. It was kind of just something that was inspired by where I'm currently living, and realizing that some of these phrases just become so commonplace in our society that we don't question when they come up. And I just kind of wanted to cover it and just talk about it a little bit. So if you like that, give it a like, a subscribe, all that kind of thing, ring the bell, I don't know, drop some money to the Patreon if you like, but tell me what else you want to talk about. I'm more than happy to chat to you. My Twitter should be in the description. Yeah, let me know.